At 36, how crazed cabbie Don Brennan abducted Alma Baldwin in an attempt to wreak revenge on her husband Mike. He was convinced that Baldwin was responsible for his downfall after losing his business reputation and girlfriend.
Don Brennan, is that you?
After months of simmering hatred, this was payback time, and one cabbie Alma wouldn't be tipping.
He won't want you.
Anyone is my husband.
He won't want you after you've been with me.
I haven't been with you.
He'll throw you out. You're no good to him now.
The culmination of all this was the big crash.
You're going to kill us! Stop, you killer!
When Don Brennan's story first came up, I knew there was a bit of sort of wet stuff being involved in it, and that was the main worry. And we said, well, you can't put me in the middle of Salford Keys. I said, no, don't worry. We've got a tank. And they took me out to the police training tank in the middle of the night, and it was immense, covered in leaves and terrible things. And they said, we're going to put these chains around your ankles. It'll help you stay under when you bob down. Well, apparently the whole crew had a bet. There was no way that I was going to go under because it was beyond freezing. And it's the first time I have ever had a round of applause on a film set. When I'd done it, the crew clapped. I thought, well, they never did that for my acting.
Keep him away from me!
I went home saying to myself, you did it, great, you did it. And I got home and I went, you idiots.
When Martin Platt invited fellow student nurse Carmel Finnan into his home to look after his children, little did he know that she was about to turn his and Gail's lives into a living nightmare.
It started with the writer Julian Roach reading an article in a magazine out to the team about a subject that it's referred to in America, wonderfully, as erotomania, which is a great name, and it was all about stalking.
You must be Carmel. Yes, I am. And thank you for inviting me to your home.
Oh, no, it's you that's doing us the favour.
Catherine Cusack came in and she was so subtle and she underplayed it.
Look, Nikki, we'll play your video later on when your mum's had a cup of tea. We'll all sit ourselves down.
No, Carmel. Not tonight.
What's up?
I decide what goes on in this house, Martin.
Even the viewers were thinking, I wonder if is she a bit bonkers?
Well, we soon found out.
Having our child, yes.
Our child!
What's more, I'm glad to be.
Look, Carmel, you can be as glad as you want to be, but that is not our child.
Sit down and talk.
Carmel's obsession got worse until Gail decided that enough was enough.
I had a stunt double. That's probably the one and only time in my life.
No, for the last time, Carmel, leave us alone. Got to let him go, Gail. He wants to be with me. We've got to be together for when our baby comes. You stay away from us. Please, Gail, I can make him happy. You say you love him. If you did, you'd let him go, because I'm the only one can make him happy. Please, Gail, let him go. For the last time, no, do you hear? Please, Gail, let me go.
All that coming down the stairs, which is actually quite something. It had all been done in one shot.
I ended, she took over, did a fantastic fall, and then I was at the bottom of the stairs. She had tried to disrupt one of the best-loved families in the street, so I'm sure most people thought she got her comeuppance. I don't think that many people felt sorry for her, really.
From an imagined affair to a real one, and 1997 saw one of the street's most solid couples rocked by the arrival of a new woman and a new producer.
The new producer at the time, Brian Park, he just came in, and apparently, rumour has it, he walked into the storyline conference and said, right, who's the happiest couple on the street? And he went, the Websters. He went, right, split them up.
I could stay like this forever.
Kevin having an affair was such a shock, you know. They were so happy. They had 2 children. Everything was going really well. There was nothing wrong with their relationship.
And they did need shaking up.
Sally was actually thrilled because, of course, for about 12 years, she'd just said,
just need a tin of baked beans for girls' tea.
So she was delighted to have this storyline.
We've got a visitor.
You built yourself up to be so angry that you just go for it.
Sally certainly didn't hold the punches.
And it wasn't just Kevin who was on the receiving end of Sally's unhappy slapping, as Denise Welsh found out.
I really hit her hard.
My face was like a cartoon. The director was very crafty and told Sal to kind of catch me off guard a little bit, so I didn't know what was, what was coming.
And then the next day it ended up front page of The Sun. Denise and I were like, oh, wow, that's amazing.
You can't be in Corrie and not have a catfight on the cobbles.
In 1986, the Street's producers decided that the Rovers needed a refurbishment. So at 33 in your countdown, what better way than to burn it down and start again?
If it's got a 5-amp plug, you don't put a 13 or 15 in. Jack did.
The fire at the Rovers that day, oh my gosh, I was so excited.
Kevin! Don't do anything stupid!
I had to go down Coronation Street and bang on every door and say, come out, you know. So I ran down the road and banged on the first door and cut. Who lives here? And they were like, no, that's Ken Barlow. Oh, Ken Barlow. Ken!
Hey, what's a rumpus? What's going on?
Hey, Susan, boy, get the fire brigade!
My mum always used to go through scripts with me, learning, and when she read that, she wasn't happy at all. It was really, really frightening. The wardrobe department had flame-proofed the nightie I was wearing. The scream at the top of the staircase was for real. I was terrified.
Julie had every reason to be scared, but thankfully the production crew were on hand.
The first time we did it, I wasn't as frightened until the fire got completely out of control and the whole staircase collapsed.
The famous story is I picked her up and I ran her through the flames. Followed very closely by a couple of firemen with 3.5-inch hoses to put a real fire out.
And I'm quite convinced he saved my life. I bet you any money she's been smoking in bed. When I watch it back, I am very proud of it. Would I do it again? No way.
Couldn't you just hang on a bit, love? Give me time to get my face on.
Terry Duckworth.
Terry were always a bad lad.
How are Terry?
Like the proverbial bad penny, Terry Duckworth turns up bringing misery to all. And in 1993, he stooped lower than ever in a story that disgusted the nation.
You can't get much lower than selling your own son, can you?
What the hell's going on here?
A girlfriend phoned me up and said, Nigel, are you all right? I said, well, yeah, of course I'm all right. And I said, well, why shouldn't I be? He said, I've just read the papers. You're going to be the most hated man in the country.
What am I supposed to do with a kid that doesn't even know me, Mum?
You can't just tear a kid out of here because he doesn't suit you to look after him.
They were quite hated by a lot of people.
You're trying to tell me that you are doing all this for somebody else's benefit? Well, I hope the lie chokes you.
Oh, Dad!
Hey, this is getting out of hand. You only do that on one stat. I don't want you calling me that no more, you.
Oh, I just want him back!
When the programme went out, it was sad. Christmas Eve. It was a big thing to play that part.
I just wanted to do a good job. And the more people hated me, the more I realised I'd done a good job.
Still to come, Roy comes a cropper thanks to toxic Tracy Barlow.
Tracy Barlow gets pregnant by Roy, and you're like, how does that happen?
And it's back to how the magic began.
It went to the top of the ratings and has never been out of the top 10 ever since.
Welcome back to our countdown of classic Coronation Street moments as voted for by you. And at 31, it's time to remember toxic Tracy Barlow's most depraved stunt yet, spiking Roy Cropper's drink and leading him not only to temptation, but also into believing that they'd shared a night of passion, and all because of a 1-penny bet.
That was an interesting storyline because on paper it looked ridiculous.
OK, so Tracy Barlow gets pregnant by Roy, and you're like, how does that happen?
I'll get him into bed all right. I just don't think I could actually do anything when I got him there. Can you imagine it?
That is my favourite time on Coronation Street, that storyline with Roy Cropper.
Oh, there you go, Roy.
I thought I'd drunk most of that.
Taxi.
Some of my favourite scenes were the scenes when we were in bed, in Tracy's bed.
Are you coming to bed with me?
Of course I am.
David was there and he'd had this idea that his Y-fronts would be flung over the lamp. That was David's idea, and that was great.
You know the character, you know what you're playing, you know how that might be made particular to Roy. It's the way my mind works, really.
Breakfast ready. Shall I give Tracy a shout?
One of the most unlikely things you could ever imagine will be Roy Cropper creeping down the stairs in the Barlows while they're having breakfast, having just been in bed with Tracy. You just could not imagine that situation.
Do you know, yesterday went really well. Well, without a hitch, actually. Roy?
Good morning.
Cup of tea?
Bye.
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 It was like the cat stuck trying to get out through the crack in the door or anywhere.
It's double locked.
Yeah, I'll get the key. It won't take a minute. Nobody's saying, what the devil are you doing here? What have you been up to?
So, is Tracy upstairs?
I think she is, yes.
You think she is? Were you really going to sneak off without saying goodbye, you naughty boy?
I'm sorry, I've got to go. Goodbye.
What the hell's going on, Tracy?
What have you done?
I'm really fond of that whole storyline. I loved it.